The world as we knew it vanished. Streets once teeming with life fell silent. Our bustling cities stood empty, monuments to a time before. An invisible threat had brought humanity to its knees. A virus, microscopic in size yet with the power to reshape our world. It crossed borders with ease, its presence announced by a cough, a fever, a loss of breath. Fear became the common language, isolation the only defense. The world held its breath. We watched, bewildered, as the familiar rhythms of life were disrupted. The pandemic had begun. The virus, SARS-CoV-2, is a marvel of nature, albeit a terrifying one. Its spiky exterior, like a crown of thorns, belies its simple structure. Yet, within this simplicity lies a remarkable ability to infect and spread. It invades our cells, hijacking their machinery to create countless copies of itself. These copies then burst forth seeking new hosts, continuing the cycle of infection. The virus spread with alarming speed. From its origins in a distant market, it traveled the globe, carried by unsuspecting travelers. Within weeks, COVID-19 had reached every corner of the planet. The human cost of the pandemic is immeasurable. Millions of lives were lost, each a story cut short, a family forever changed. Hospitals, overwhelmed by the sheer number of patients, became battlegrounds in a war against an invisible enemy. Doctors and nurses, working tirelessly on the front lines, faced exhaustion and despair. They witnessed unimaginable suffering, holding the hands of the dying as they took their last breaths. The pandemic left an indelible scar on the human psyche. The fear of infection, the grief of loss, the isolation of quarantine all took their toll. Mental health suffered, as anxiety and depression became widespread. The pandemic brought the global economy to a standstill, an unprecedented event that rippled through every sector and corner of the world. Businesses shuttered their doors, factories fell silent, and the flow of goods and services ground to a halt. The once bustling marketplaces and industrial hubs became ghost towns, echoing the silence of uncertainty. The world watched in disbelief as the gears of commerce, once relentless in their motion, ceased to turn. Shopping malls, usually filled with the hum of activity, stood empty, and financial districts, the heartbeats of economies, were eerily quiet. The financial markets, once a barometer of confidence, plummeted into freefall. Investors, who once thrived on the predictability of growth, faced unprecedented volatility and uncertainty. Stock prices crashed, wiping out trillions of dollars in wealth. The screens that once displayed green arrows of growth now showed red, signaling losses that affected millions of investors and retirement funds. Unemployment soared to levels not seen since the Great Depression, leaving millions without livelihoods. Office spaces, once filled with the daily grind of workers, became empty shells, and long lines formed at unemployment offices. The economic impact was felt most acutely by the most vulnerable. Small businesses, the backbone of many communities, closed their doors, and families turned to food banks for the first time, highlighting the fragility of their financial situations. Those living on the margins, already struggling to make ends meet, were plunged further into poverty. The struggle to pay bills and put food on the table became a daily battle for survival. The pandemic exposed the deep inequalities that existed within and between nations. Diverse communities faced distress, and the stark contrasts of wealth inequality became more apparent as the gap between the rich and the poor widened even further. Section 5. Broken links in the chain. The pandemic revealed the fragility of our interconnected world. Global supply chains, once humming with efficiency, buckled under the strain. Border closures and lockdowns disrupted the flow of goods, leading to shortages and delays. Consumers accustomed to abundant choices faced empty shelves and rising prices. Basic necessities, once taken for granted, became scarce. The pandemic highlighted the interconnectedness of our world and the importance of resilient supply chains. As governments scrambled to secure essential supplies, manufacturers struggled to adapt to the new reality. Production lines were retooled to produce masks, ventilators, and other desperately needed medical equipment. Section 6. A world apart. The world as we knew it changed overnight. The pandemic forced us to rethink the way we learn and interact. Suddenly, our homes became classrooms and offices. Schools and universities closed their doors, sending students home to continue their education remotely. The once bustling hallways fell silent. Teachers adapted to new technologies, delivering lessons online and finding creative ways to engage students virtually. They became tech-savvy overnight, mastering video calls and digital whiteboards. Social distancing became the new norm. We learned to keep our distance yet stay connected. Gatherings were banned, events were canceled, and public spaces were deserted. Concerts, sports events, and festivals were put on hold indefinitely. The pandemic forced us to confront our dependence on social interaction and the importance of human connection. Empty cafes and restaurants stood as a stark reminder of our new reality. Yet even in isolation, we found ways to connect. Families rediscovered the joy of board games, and friends stayed in touch through endless video calls. We reached out to loved ones virtually, bridging the physical gap with digital closeness. We offered help to neighbors in need, delivering groceries and running errands for those who couldn't, and found solace in shared experiences, applauding healthcare workers from our balconies, singing together from our windows. We found unity in our collective struggle. The pandemic reminded us of the importance of community and the resilience of the human spirit. We waved from a distance, held signs of support in our front yards, and proved that even apart, we are stronger together. Section 7. A moment of reflection. The pandemic, for all its devastation, offered a moment of reflection. As economic activity slowed and transportation networks ground to a halt, the planet experienced a brief respite from human impact. Air pollution levels dropped, skies cleared, and wildlife reclaimed urban spaces. This glimpse of a cleaner, quieter world served as a stark reminder of the environmental consequences of our actions. It highlighted the urgent need to address climate change and transition to a more sustainable way of life. The pandemic also exposed deep-seated social and economic inequalities. It laid bare the disparities in healthcare access, the disproportionate impact on marginalized communities, and the vulnerabilities of a globalized world. Section 8. Lessons for the future. The pandemic has been a crucible of scientific innovation. Researchers around the world worked tirelessly to understand the virus, develop diagnostic tests, and create effective vaccines and treatments. The rapid development of multiple safe and effective vaccines was a testament to the power of human ingenuity and collaboration. The pandemic underscored the importance of investing in scientific research and global health security. The pandemic has taught us the importance of preparedness, the need for global cooperation, and the interconnectedness of our world. It has shown us that we are capable of great resilience, adaptability, and compassion. Section 9. A time for healing. As the world emerges from the shadow of the pandemic, we find ourselves at a crossroads. The streets that were once empty are now bustling with life again, and businesses that had shuttered their doors are reopening with renewed hope and vigor. We carry with us the scars of loss, the memories of loved ones who are no longer with us. These scars are a testament to the challenges we have faced and the resilience we have shown, but also the lessons learned. We have discovered new ways to connect, to learn, and to grow. The pandemic has taught us the importance of adaptability and the power of community. The road to recovery will be long and challenging, filled with obstacles and setbacks. Yet, it is a journey we must undertake together, supporting one another every step of the way. But we can emerge stronger, wiser, and more united. Collaboration and teamwork will be our guiding principles as we rebuild our communities and our lives. This is a time for healing, for rebuilding, and for coming together as one. It is a time to mend the fractures that have divided us and to create a more inclusive and compassionate society, and for reimagining a better future. A future where innovation and sustainability go hand in hand, where we build not just for today, but for generations to come. A future where we prioritize health, well-being, and sustainability. We have learned the value of preventive care and the importance of mental health. These lessons will guide us as we move forward. A future where we are better prepared for the challenges that lie ahead. We will invest in research, in preparedness, and in the resilience of our systems and our people. The pandemic has tested us in ways we could never have imagined, pushing us to our limits and beyond. It has forced us to confront our vulnerabilities and to find strength in unexpected places. But it has also reminded us of our shared humanity. In the face of adversity, we have seen acts of kindness, of generosity, and of solidarity that have inspired us all. It has shown us that even in the darkest of times, there is light. Hope and resilience can prevail, and together we can overcome any challenge. Hope and resilience can prevail. As the sun rises on a new day, we embrace the possibilities that lie ahead, knowing that we are stronger for the trials we have endured. Let us emerge from this crisis stronger, wiser, and more determined to build a better future for all. A future where we are united in our efforts to create a world that is more just, more equitable, and more compassionate.